Okay. Hello everyone, and now I want to join again to practice speaking and reading in English. And now in day 73, I want to join you again to bringing the topic about tell me about your project. Daniel, hey, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you too. Daniel, how are you today? I'm doing well, thank you. Good. Let's start with something simple. Sure. Can you tell me about one project you built? Sure. Recently, I've been working on a Laravel application. Interesting. What kind of application is it? It's a employee management application. What can users do with it? User can manage employee data. Can you be more specific? Sure. They can create, view, update, and delete employee records. So it's basically a code application. Yes, but I also added some additional feature such as search relationship between modules, validation, authentication, and some asynchronous action using JavaScript. That's a good start. Why did you choose Laravel? Because Laravel provides many features that make web development easier. Which feature have you used? I've used routing controller, model migration, LQMN or M, middleware validation, and flat. Which one was the most difficult for you? At first, LQN relationship were difficult for me. Why? Because I needed to understand how different tables and middle models were connected. Can you give me an example? Sure, I had a pegawai model as a department model. Okay, each employee belongs to one department, while one department can have many employees. So, what kind of relationship is that? One to many relationship. Exactly. How did you solve this problem? First, I studied the database structure. Good, then I created the foreign key in the employee table. Okay, after that I defined the relationship in the models, and then I tested the relationship using Laravel Tinker. Good answer. I want to make sure the relationship work before using it in the view. That's a good development habit. Then, what was the biggest bug you encountered? It was a problem when I tried to delete the apartment. What happened? To delete action file with an error saying that a method didn't exist. How did you debug it? I checked the error message first. Good. Then I checked the model relationships, and I discovered that I had used the wrong method name. What was the mistake? I accidentally used a fuller method name when the relationship method should have been singular. So the problem wasn't the database, no, it was the relationship definition. Exactly. What did you learn from that bug? I learned that small naming mistake can cause confusing errors. Anything else? I also learned to read the error message carefully before changing the code. Excellent. Let's talk about your front end. Okay, did you use JavaScript? Yes, for what? I use JavaScript for live search and asynchronous delete requests. Why didn't you simply reload the page? I wanted the interface to feel more responsive. And how did you send the delete request using the Fetch API? How did you handle CRF protection? I included the CRF token in the request. Good. What happens if the request fails? The JavaScript checks the response and displays an error message. Did you encounter any problems while implementing that? Yes, what kind? And when showing the controller return one status value while the JavaScript expected another value. Can you explain? The controller returned success, but the JavaScript was checking for success. Okay. So the deletion actually worked, but the front end displayed the wrong message. That's an interesting bug. Yes, it tells me that communication between the backend and front end has to be consistent. How do you usually debug problem like that? I try to isolate the problem. What does that mean? Instead of changing many things at once, I check each part separately. For example, I check whether the request is sent correctly. Then I check the response from the server. Then I check whether the front end handles that response correctly. Very good. Now imagine you working with a team. Okay, you don't understand a piece of code written by another developer. What do you do? First, I try to understand it myself. How? I read the code carefully and check the related documentation. And if you still don't understand it, I ask the developer who wrote it. What would you say? I say something like, could you help me understand why this approach was used? Good. I wouldn't immediately say that their code is wrong. Why? Because I may be missing some context. Excellent. One final question. Sure. What's the most important thing you've learned from building this project? That building an application isn't only about writing code. Gone. I also need to understand the database. Yes, I need to understand how the front end communication with the back end. Good. I need to handle errors. Correct. I need to think about the security. Yeah, this is important. And I need to be able to debug problems when things don't work. Exactly. And what about learning? I'm still learning. That's okay. I don't know everything yet. Nobody does. But I know how to learn something I don't understand. That's a valuable skill. And I try to improve every time I do something good. Yeah, okay, thank you, Usni. Thank you for the interview. I enjoy hearing about your project. I enjoy explaining it. That's important. Why? Because developers need to communicate what they build, not just build it. Exactly. So a good developer needs both technical skills and communication skills. Now you got it. One project at a time. Yeah, one project at a time. One problem at a time. Yeah, one problem at a time. And one interview at a time. Of course, one interview at a time. And thank you.